to Rosebell Beauty. Today I'm going to do a full face makeup and I'm going to do kind of a purple, brown eye and a neutral lip. So far what I've done is I have just really moisturized my face with, I don't know how to say this correctly, Caudalie Reversatile Lift. Anyway, I put quite a bit on. I find that people don't really put a lot of moisturizer on, and that is the base for your makeup. And you want to really make sure your skin is really moisturized. So I'm kind of, you know, shiny. It's kind of sunken in a little bit so far. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to just prime my face, and I'm going to start with Bare Minerals Prime Time in Original, and it's just a clear primer. So I just kind of put this in the areas I have bigger pores, and then I push it out from there, and I bring it up to my hairline even, just to use the product everywhere, especially in the little crevices. And I have this scar on my face that I got when I was 7. So I rode my bike into a bunch of thorn bushes and I got a pretty decent looking scar, and I got surgery on it twice just to make it look as good as it does now. So for me, primer is definitely important because it's pretty smooth now, but it still has a little bit of texture and evenness in the nose area here especially. And because of the surgery on it, this side of my face is a little bit, I guess it's aged more than this side, because this side had like kind of a mini facelift with tightening up around the scar. So I have a little bit of an uneven face, and you can see here how there's kind of like more of an indent here than on this side. So when I do my makeup, I have to kind of compensate for those factors. And we all have, you know, slightly uneven faces, but mine is unique in that way. All right, so I primed with that, and because I'm really going for a flawless, almost kind of full coverage, I'm going to also go in with Becca's Backlight Priming Filter. Now this I don't really like as a filter or a primer on its own. I don't feel like it really does much for smoothing out the skin. I think it just kind of adds a nice sheen to the skin, and I like a primer that does a little bit more for your pores and areas that need to be filled in to create a real smooth surface for your makeup to go onto. But the backlighting filter does kind of give you this nice glow beneath the foundation. So I am going to double up on my primer. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit for just a second. What I'm going to work with is the Nars Sheer Glow. These foundations are my favorite. I've purchased them multiple times. I just ordered more, and my color is Valaris, and it's medium 1.5. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Right? Oh, come on. There it is. Anyway. So I just put some of that on the back of my hand, and I'm actually going to mix it with Maybelline's Dream Liquid Mousse Airbrush Finish in Natural Beige, medium 2.5. And because you can see the color contrast of these, one is kind of the pinky, a little bit more pinky neutral, and this one has a little bit more yellow hue in it. And because I'm red, this Valaris looks really good on that. But if you look at my chest, I am a little bit yellow, and this kind of helps give it more full coverage, because this is a really nice everyday sheer that builds nicely and gives you kind of a glowy look, whereas this is a little bit more matte. So I'm gonna pump the Maybelline, and you can see that color there. And then I'm gonna put the Valaris next to it, and you'll see that they are very different colors, and I have to mix sometimes. Oh, come on, I'm getting on the end of this bottle. I might have to, it's a good thing I ordered more. I'm really on the end of this, I didn't realize. Okay, so you can see that they are like two totally different colors. So you have the pinky one and then the more yellow color there. So I just kind of am going to take a damp beauty blender and kind of mix them in together. It just got really dark in here. You want to make sure your beauty blender is really damp too, and you've squeezed out that excess liquid, because if it's too dry, it's not going to give you that nice blending ability, and it'll kind of engorge itself when it's nice and damp, and it makes it apply your makeup just so much nicer and so much smoother. Let me get it closer here. Okay, so this is layer 1, and I didn't really get very much out of that bottle, so I'm going to try to get more out of it. You can hear that. All right, and then a little bit more of this Maybelline. And I'm not using any filters. I find that a lot of the YouTube channels, they look amazing on there, but they are typically using filters. And so what you see on there is not going to be the results that you can obtain in real life. So that's something that's really important to me, is that what you see is what you can actually get. These super airbrush looking flawless skin just is not something you're going to get out of just regular foundation. Most of them have like a Photoshop filter or other things that are being applied to make them have these amazing looking porcelain skin videos, and it's just not something you're gonna get. So here is layer number 2, and that's why I like these foundations, because they're very buildable and you can really control the coverage. And make sure you really get in your hairline there, because you don't want that line that shows where the foundation starts and where your real skin starts. So you'll have just this start and finish line that looks bad. And then blend down your neck just with the excess that's on the beauty blender. And I like to kind of go over the ear a little bit, because I oftentimes see that there's a foundation line here and this is usually exposed. And it's just with the excess, so it's not like you're really patting on a bunch of extra product or anything. So you can see that I wish the lighting was better, that I have fairly good coverage here, and everything is kind of the same color. All that pinkness, redness has kind of gone away. I'm still fairly dewy looking though, and I think that's also because I have awkward lighting in here. But I am pleased with the coverage with the foundation so far. Okay, now I'm going to, this is kind of backwards for some people, but I have the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser of Dark Circles. Now, I have a 5.5-month-old baby, and I'm not sleeping a lot. So I have dark circles. So you just kind of twist this, and it has this nice little spongy top. And you just kind of apply this around the eye here. And it just helps brighten this area. I have like raccoon eyes, that's the point. Raccoon eye it up. And then in addition to this, I like to go in with the Makeup Forever HD stick. And this is a foundation, it's not a concealer. And I go in with 115, and it looks like this, which is a lighter color than my skin. So it kind of does the same effect as like basically highlighting. And I just kind of dab that around where I want kind of a highlighted feature. This is important with my little lifted area here. I need to put a little bit of lightness here because I have, like I showed you, that indent of unevenness. So then you just go back in with your beauty blender that you're already using and just really blend it out by tapping, especially under the eye. Now try not to get the sides of the nose because otherwise it'll just give you this flat look. And you want the bridge of the nose to stand out and not be a flat looking nose. You want to have that definition. So just pat this all in. Okay. And that is going to help really give you that full coverage look without looking cakey. I can't wait to get my circle light because this will just make the makeup process so much better without these weird shadows. Because right now I'm in Washington State and the outside is like sunny and then cloudy and I'm using mostly natural light in here. And so it's changing the lighting. Okay. That looks like it is blended. Okay. So this is the base for the face, okay? And you can see there's not a lot of change in the color, which is what you want. You don't want to be just like beaming white. You want it to be natural, okay? So, and that was just foundation. All foundation products. I do have a concealer here, and it's the Smashbox High Definition Concealer. Looks like this, in Fair. And this is a pretty thick concealer, so you don't want to be heavy-handed with it, because if you kind of are heavy-handed, it will be super white. I mean, and that's because I'm using Fair, because I do want it to be kind of a highlighter to really bring up my cheeks. So I'm gonna kind of squeeze this out. I'm getting kind of low on this too. And I'm just gonna kind of dot it. Now I have completely done streaks with this when I first started using it, thinking, oh, it's gonna, you know, just spread out nicely, but it's super dense. And so when I was spreading it out, I looked like the raccoon look, where it was just white everywhere. So you don't want to, again, be heavy-handed with it. You can always add more. So then go back in with that same beauty blender and just tap it in. You can see how white this is. And it's great because it really gets underneath the eye for dark circles. And then I'm gonna kind of push that into my crease here too, where I have that unevenness that I mentioned earlier. Okay. And I know that that's probably not that noticeable to most people, but to me, since I've just had it my whole life, I guess I just notice it a little bit more. But if there's ever anything you want to make less obvious and unaccentuate, then lighten it. And anything you want to accentuate, darken it. Okay, I'm kind of going to go over the eye here. Okay, and on the bridge of the nose, but staying away from the actual sides. And get the inner eye there. Okay, so there we have that. And you can really, I hope you're starting to see how this builds up. And it does not look like cake face. It is very, very blended. And you know what, the mirror here is just so much better, but you know, I don't know what the camera's gonna look like later. Maybe just the screen's not as good as I would like it to be. And then I've also lightened it up here where my scar creates a shadow. So you just want to, again, lighten it up in there because that's where the depth of the scar is, the most rigid parts of it. And the same thing applies to, you know, acne and acne scars, things like that. If you, wherever they are, you want to try to lighten it, and then you can add in your definition to your face to try to accentuate the pieces that you want to have seen. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to set everything with some setting powder, and I like to use the Translucent Loose Setting Powder by Laura Mercier. Looks like this, and you don't see the color. It's just a very light powder, like this. And I go in with kind of a kabuki looking brush, and this one's from Morphe. And I just got this in a set of Morphe brushes, so there's no number on it. And I swirl it around in the cap, tap off the excess, and then I first pat it in under the eye area, and then I buff it out very softly on the skin. So I'm gonna pat it like this, because I don't want to do any sweeping motion, because then it's going to really show the lines in my under eyes. So you want to pat it in to set that foundation and concealer. And then you can kind of buff it around. I have this little handheld light mirror I'm using. Okay, and again, make sure you get that hairline. Okay. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my eye makeup. So I'm going to do kind of a purple brown eye. And you know, I haven't really gone into this palette to see exactly what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. So I'm going to use the Laura Mercier, looks like this. It is called the Eye Art Artist palette, and it's in a purpley color. All the colors are kind of purpley, and I love the names. But I'm going to mostly use that, and then we'll see what I'm looking for if I want to do something else. So first I'm going to use a eye primer to make sure everything sets really well. Now you can see that I have a pretty deep crease, so you want to make sure that you do use an eye primer and let everything set, because when you open your eyes and you don't prime them, you're going to end up with a little bit of transfer, and it's going to kind of maybe look patchy. You don't have to use it. It might not, you know, do that, but because it's constantly hitting my skin, it's going to kind of make the color dissipate faster over the course of the day. So using a primer will really help keep that pigment on there and looking fresh. So put that away. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little bit on the back of my hand, and it just looks like this. It's like a neutral color, and I usually use this brush, but you can tell I've definitely been using it for this purpose. It's just a Victoria's Secret eye color brush that came with something. I don't know what it came with. I don't use their makeup. I honestly don't know where this came from, which is why I use it for primer, because I have my other brushes for actual makeup applications. So just kind of paint this on and stick to the top of the lid at first, because sometimes you get a lot of transfer and you don't want it to be in your lash line and start getting clumpies on your eyelashes. So by allowing it to go on the eye where it's all skin, because some people like to start down low and you just end up getting stuck with clumpies on your eyelashes that then transfer into your mascara, and it's just not pretty. Okay, so I do that, and then I kind of pat it in with my finger just to make sure I have a nice application and no unevenness, because that will transfer into your eye makeup and make it patchy. And you could just apply this with your finger if you want to. There's no rules. I just like the control of the brush. And pat it in. Now, another thing I like to do that's a little unconventional, when I'm really going for kind of a dramatic eye look is I take what's left on my brush and I kind of sweep it underneath the lower lash line, because I know, and on the inner corner here, because I know I'm going to put in some eyeshadow down here. Now, if you're not going to be putting eyeshadow down here, don't do this. There's no reason for it. But this way you just get that depth when you want to kind of smoke out your eye. Okay. Now to start, again, I don't have hooded eyes, but I have a very deep crease. So the last thing I want to do is take my transition color and just sweep it on the inside of that crease, because then I'm only going to have this tiny little bit of lid exposed, and it's going to make my eye look tiny. Even though when it's closed it might look nice, but most of the time my eyes are open and you're gonna have these tiny little eyes with like the light color just a tiny bit here, and then you're gonna have all this upper space that's going to be a lighter color, and you don't want that. So you want to make sure you're evening out the distribution of color to make your eyes look wide and awake. So first I'm going to start with just my transfer color, or my transition color. I'm just gonna use a fluffy brush like this. This is the Morphe B30. Any brush is fine. You don't have to go buy the brushes that are, we're using on, all these channels. Just a brush that doesn't shed all over you and has the right size and flexibility is fine. And there's a lot of great brushes out there. Drugstore brushes. Morphe is actually really inexpensive and they're fairly good quality for the price. So that's why I like to use them. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the transition color, and I'm going to use Plum Smoke. I like this color. Nope, just kidding. I'm gonna use Fresco. So Fresco is this color right here. And then I'm gonna use Plum Smoke after. But for the transition color, I think Fresco will be nicer. So I kind of get a good amount on my brush here. And then I'm going to start the center. And I'm not going in the crease. Can you see that? It's above the crease. And I'm just going to build that up, flicking it upwards, and stay above the crease. There's a tiny bit in it on this outside corner, which is okay, but I really want to stay above the crease, because when I put my light color on the lid, I want there to be enough space for that. And then I only will have a little bit up here for my highlight, and it's gonna make my eye look a lot wider than it really is. So, okay, blend, 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 okay. Fresco again. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And you want to try to even it out, because also because of the surgery, one eye is a little bit different than the other. And this one, I have such an easy time doing like liquid eyeliner on and things like that. And this one is so much more difficult. Okay. Fresco is done. All right. All right. So now that I have the transition color really blended in here, and looks pretty even on both sides. Okay. I am going to go in with a little blendy brush. There's this one here. This is the Morphe M506. It's just a small kind of tapered fluffy brush, and I'm going to go in on the same palette with Plum Smoke here. Okay, this one. And then I'm also going to go in with the espresso bean, which is right here, which is just like a dark kind of chocolate color. So first I'm going to do the plum smoke, and that's gonna kind of build up in the crease. I'm gonna start right up here on the bridge, outer bridge, and kind of build up in that corner. Plum smoke. I love the names of these ones. I think that's part of the appeal for me. And I'm kind of flipping it out here. You can see that I'm smoking out the outer corner. Okay. I'm gonna kind of just drag that down a little bit into the lower lash line. That looks really smoky on the screen up there. Okay, plum smoke, and especially because plum smoke is such like actually a light color, but when you put it on, it is so much darker than Fresco. Is it Fresco? Yes. That you start getting this really smoky look without really using dark colors at all. And that's just about layering and really blending the colors together. And drag it up. Again, bring it down to the lower lash line a little bit. Okay. All right, so that's 2 colors. Now I told you I was going to use the espresso bean, and I'm going to use that with kind of this little pencil brush here. And this brush I have had for years. It's a MAC brush, and it's so faded that I can't see it. I think it's a 310, but I can't really tell. So espresso bean. I just dab the tip of my brush in there, and then you're just gonna kind of draw the lower lash line. And this is what I was talking about by having, and I'm only gonna go till about right below the black pupil of your eye when you're looking straight ahead, because I don't want to darken up the inner corner. I'm gonna kind of smoke this out by dragging it a little bit lower than the lash line. And it's just really blending nicely into that eye primer I put down. Okay, now I'm gonna kind of bring the corner in, and then I'm gonna do the other side. Tapping it in nicely a little bit, and then dragging this across, I didn't put enough, okay. Dragging it across the lower lash line, in between the lashes, getting that corner, and then dragging it a little bit lower into that primer, and just smudge, smudge, smudge. Okay. Oh, it looks so dark on there. It's not that dark. It's not that dark. Okay. All right, now, okay, now I'm going to do the lid color. And I'm going to go in, I'm trying to decide if I want to use one of these. I'm gonna go in with Guava. I might do a mix of Guava and Primrose. So these 2 pink colors here, the top one's Guava and this one's Primrose. And here's the Fresco we used for the transition color. So I'm going to start off with Guava, and if I feel it's a little too light powdery, then I'm going to do some Primrose over it. And I'm just going to use a flat bristle brush. Again, it's another MAC brush, and I have no idea what it is because I've used it so much that it has worn completely off. And so, all right, Guava, get a good amount of color on there, okay? And then just pat it on. Okay, Guava again. going to build that up a little bit more with a little bit more of guava. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. I wonder if I can bring you guys in and you guys can see it better without all the darkness. Okay, it's not. Okay, so this is what we have here. All right, now I'm going to take Sparkling Dew, which is that top corner one, and I'm going to put that on the top part of my brow. Oh, I'm having some focusing issues. Okay, and this one is just another MAC brush I've had forever and you can't see it. So it's just a white brush. You can use any brush for this really. Okay, I'm just going to push this color into the brow and kind of help blend that into the darker colors we have here. And it'll help kind of lighten that for a nice transition. Alright, Sparkling Dew on this side now. All right, now I'm going to take Sparkling Dew and I'm going to drag it down here and under here. And I do this because it lightens up the inner corners and it helps lighten below this lash line where it's smoky, and it helps finish utilizing the rest of that eye primer. Okay, so that part is done. Okay, I'm done with the eyeshadow portion, except for I am going to, I'll put some highlighter in there later when I do my highlighter. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back out. All right, eyes are done. Okay, now I'm going to work on my eyebrows. So everyone talks about the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow definer, and I use it in blonde. I do like it, but it's like $34 or something like that. And NYX here has a Sculpting Highlight Brow Contour pencil. It's a soft pencil. This is not even a pencil, I guess I'll say. It's retractable like this, and they obviously are duping Anastasia because look at like how they designed them. They look kind of the same. And the NYX one has a highlighter at the end and no spoolie, which is like the downside to it. However, it's creamier than the Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I have this one in blonde and ivory, and I use the blonde in Anastasia Beverly Hills, which, you know, has a flat kind of top. You see that? And this one's more rounded. So for shaping, they're a little bit different, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference for me. And essentially, you know what? I'm gonna say they're like the exact same color in blonde. So this is not focusing for me. Anyway, so I'm going to only use a spoolie on the Anastasia because as a drugstore brand, I think I only paid $9 for this. And I just, when you find something so comparable for such a lower price, I mean, you have to kind of go for it. So I'm gonna just brush out my brows and I'm gonna lift them up. See, I'm lifting them up. I don't wanna just shape everything down because I have these puffy eyes. I have puffy eye covers, or whatever you call them. So when I draw my eyebrow, people like to sometimes draw them down. I don't recommend that really on any eye shape because it's just gonna make you look droopy on the sides. So always kind of pull up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of just flick this, and I'm drawing it from the same area and up into the hair and outlining it and lightly brushing in anywhere I need gaps filled. Okay, same on this side. Now I know some people like to draw a straight line. I just feel like sometimes the eyebrows look too polished and too drawn on, and I like mine to look pretty natural, especially because I do my eyebrows this way for work also, and I don't want it to be, I don't know, unnatural looking. And then I just kind of brush it in. Okay. Now that looks really dark on this camera. It is not that dark, okay, but it's my lighting. Okay. And brush it out, especially on those inner hairs here. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with my brow gel, which I forgot to grab. It's over here. All right, and I do use Anastasia Beverly Hills brow gel for this. So just lightly shaping. Also, the liquid in it helps really define and place the hairs where you want it, because sometimes your hair will kind of like group together in certain areas and make it look darker, and you don't want that. Okay. So that part is done. Now, face. Contouring. So I'm going to use for my sculpting Kevyn, I don't know how to say his last name, AUCOIN. I've heard it said correctly before and it's not coming to me. And I have the contour book and volume 2, The Art of Sculpting and Defining. And this is one of the best contouring products I've ever used. And the first 2 pages has the little outline, and then when you open it up, you have your little palette here. And the bottom pigments can be used for just eyeshadows or things like, or this brighten here, I'm going to use for my inner eyelid and then kind of for my highlighter. I love his palette. I just love everything about it. The sculpting cream I'm going to use first, and I just use my finger for this, and I should have gotten some wipes, hang on. Because I'm going to have dirty fingers after I do this. Let me get a wipey out here. Okay, so I got my wipey. And I'm going to just take my fingers and I'm going to go into the sculpting cream, okay? And I'm going to just dab this. Oh, look how dark that is. It's not as dark as you think. Again, this camera is showing everything super dark compared to what it is. And I'll get some photos of all this at the end. But you just kind of put that where you want and then kind of blend it upwards. Because you don't want to blend it downwards or else your cheek is going to look like it's sagging. And all that work we did for all the lightening on the top will be for nothing. Well, you just have a crazy high cheek, all cheeks basically. Okay, same thing on this side, from the hairline down. And kind of flick your finger up. Now I also have the Kat Von D Shade Delight palette, and I use that one all the time also. But this one, I guess I would use this one like for fancy dates with my husband. This one kind of gives you a more intense payoff, I would say personally. So that was a sculpting cream, and I just did a little bit on each side So I don't know if you can really see that, but I'll go in with a powder too and really buff that out. But I'm going to go in with the Candlelight Cream, which is this one up here, and rub like 2 fingers in it. And I'm going to pat this on my cheekbones and then kind of pat it in. Okay. And this does not give you crazy highlight. It is just really pretty and gives you kind of a glow. All right, now I'm gonna go in with the sculpting powder here and kind of just build this up, upwards. Okay. And then I'm going to go around the sides here and underneath to create, especially right here, because I can have kind of an overhang, this thing, from my side profile. Okay. Then with a little brush, where is it? This little guy, Morphe M335. I tap it in here slightly and kind of just go on the sides of my nose just to kind of shape very lightly my nose out. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to take just like a little angled brush and go into this candlelight powder that's in here also, and just put that on the top. Oh, look at that. You can see how that just brightened everything up, and just kind of put that where I want a little bit of light pickup. Okay. Then I'm going to take, I just have like this little flat brush, and I'm going to take that Brighten here and just lightly do the highlight on my nose. Take, it's a flat kind of brush, and do underneath your eyebrow, just underneath the arch, and it really makes it pop and define and make your eye look whiter, okay? And then a little bit here on the Cupid's bow. All right. Then I have blush. I'm using Tarte Exposed. I love this color. It is a super, super mellow color, and I'm just going to lightly do that here. Okay. All right. And then for my highlight, I'm going to take a little fan brush and go in that Brighten again from this palette and just go on the tops of my cheek, just lightly. Arch of my nose. Okay. Now lips. Lips, I am going to do Sephora's Rouge Gel Lip Liner in, what is this color? I think it's called Rose Wine. And I love this color. Okay. And I'm just going to outline the lip. And then I'm gonna go in with Too Faced Melted Matte in Sellout, this color here. I love this color. It's a super neutral, kind of rosy color. All right. Very happy with that. Now while that kind of dries, I'm then gonna go over it with Marc Jacobs Sugar Sugar. It's a really nice light pink and it just gives it a much lighter kind of look. I guess, and it glosses it up really nicely. So I'm gonna go in with some mascara here. And then I'm gonna apply some lashes. I like my bottom lash line to be very lashy. So I'm gonna go in with 2 coats on the lower lash line. The upper lash, I'm not gonna worry too much about. I just don't want blonde hairs there for when I put the lashes on. Okay, one more time over here. I can see my battery's dying. And this was Roller Lash by Benefit. So let me clean this up just a tiny bit. Remember, just a tiny bit of mascara got. Okay, and then I'm going to use Ardell Natural. This is the brand. And they're in 109 black. You can see that here. And I use Duo Lash Adhesive in dark tone because the white is okay. I just would rather have it in the black because I prefer that. Let me put this, my lips are dried now. Alright, and I'm just going to take a little lip brush just to kind of smooth the gloss into the lipstick. Alright, and it makes you have a really nice full lip. I don't do lip injections or anything like that. I have kind of big lips already, but it's just a really nice color. Okay, and I think my battery's gonna die. I'm a little worried about that. So I'm gonna put on the lashes and then I'm going to give you guys a final look and hopefully in some better light. Okay. All right guys, so I had to switch cameras because the other one died and I can't find the charger. So what I did to finish is I put the eyelashes on. I kind of put a little bit more of that highlighter in here. And then I just misted some setting spray all over. And you can really see I'm right in front of my window now. And this is all just natural light. And you can really see how it's actually a fairly full coverage, flawless look. I put my hair back down. I didn't do anything except for blow dry it after I got out of the shower this morning. So this is the final look.
And I hope that you guys enjoyed watching, and it was great doing this tutorial for you. And if you have any questions, leave some comments below. I'll list all the products that I use to the best of my ability. Most of them might not be around anymore. I know that the Laura Mercier palette I don't think is always available. I think that was kind of a limited edition sort of palette, but pretty much any colors that you want to use. It's really just about the techniques that you utilize when applying things, and just blending and finding your right colors and just knowing where to apply them on your face. And you can see too how by lightening up this crease here, it really evened out my face, and not accentuating this by darkening or putting any sort of shadow here. So thank you so much, and I really look forward to doing other videos with you. And if you have any questions, again, please ask them below, like and subscribe. Thank you so much.